As a young kid, I struggled a lot when it came to self-image issues and how I looked and just how I carried myself around. I definitely didn't carry myself around well. I was getting made fun of by friends, by just random schoolmates. I was getting made fun of by girls that I thought were cute and girls that I liked because of my gynecomastia, and that completely destroyed my self-image, my self-esteem, and I just wasn't really confident, right? I would walk around hunched over, like making sure, like, you know, always puffing my shirt out and stuff like that, making sure no one can see my gynecomastia. I would always be wearing hoodies and jackets like every day of the year, even when it was hot indoors and outdoors, because I was so self-conscious about my chest. I remember one time we had, in middle school, we had this thing for scoliosis, so we had to like take off our shirts, and we were all in our own individual booths, but you can kind of see across from other people's stuff. And when I took off my shirt, like, you know, I had these big saggy titties, and when I came out, I heard one of my schoolmates talking to another schoolmate saying like, bro, when Omar took off his shirt, he had these big titties. And it was just like, it was crazy, right? It was like, anytime I would get roasted in school or made fun of in school, it'd be because of my gynecomastia, by boy or girl, it didn't even matter. And so, of course, how do you think that's going to make you feel about yourself, right? As a boy who is developing, who's supposed to be developing as a man, especially in those important years of like middle school age to high school age, you're developing slowly into a male, into a grown man. And people are saying like, damn, bro, you got big titties, stuff like that. You're developing as a woman, basically. Imagine how that will make you feel. Imagine how just inadequate you will feel as a man, as a boy, as someone who carries themselves and believes themselves to be a male. So that's very, very detrimental, right? It's going to, like, depending on who you are, you will break. You will break. But if you're on the verge of breaking, then let me help you. Let me take you through what I've been through. Let me show you some type of guidance, so that way you don't feel like you're just in this dark hole and you can't recover from, right? So ever since I was about 10 years old, when I even like was more self-conscious about my body, I've always been wearing a shirt at the pool or to the beach, basically up until literally yesterday. Yesterday was my first time going to the pool or the beach without a shirt on. Without a tank top, without a swimming shirt, and I wasn't self-conscious about my chest at all, right? I've had other instances where I did go up to somewhere somewhere without a shirt, but I was still self-conscious of it. I was still trying to like hide under the water, basically. But yesterday was my first time being able to have that full experience of just not having to just worry about my chest and be self-conscious about it, right? And a lot of it can be attributed to like another topic that I want to go over in this video when it comes to weight loss, because I was overweight. Going back to the thumbnail, I was about 208 pounds. That photo was taken about 3 weeks. It was taken about 3 weeks after I started like first working out, and it came from a bad breakup. So the way when it comes to my gynecomastia, it's all the stuff that I've been through is so deep, because I've had ex-girlfriends, and I've had girlfriends, broke up with them, whatever, they're salty, whatever, and then now they're exes, and then they will go and they will make fun of my gynecomastia to their friends, to my friends, to people that I know. You know how fucked up that is, man? In the relationship, they're telling me, oh no, it's fine, you're a man, you're still a man, it's okay if you have titties, whatever the fuck. And they're going around they're making fun of me for that same exact thing that they were trying to reassure me about. Excuse the fuck out of me, right? And so at a certain point, especially after that last relationship, before that photo was taken, right, I wanted to change. Right, I just went to Walmart. I just grabbed two 30-pound dumbbells. I think it was 25-pound dumbbells. It cost me like $70. I just whatever, right, whatever. And I went to work that same day, that same night, right, doing curls, doing forearm exercises, stuff like this. And at the time, when it comes to my gynecomastia, I was kind of scared to work my chest, to do any push-ups or any type of chest exercises, because I thought, like, it would make my gynecomastia worse. If you search up on the internet and you search up, hey, does working your chest make your gynecomastia worse? A lot of the answers, a lot of the responses are going to be yes, but that's not the case. It's completely false. I don't know why they put that information out there and making me discouraged to even work out, right? Because when I probably would have started working out a lot sooner if I knew how I would look today. But me searching up stuff like does working your chest make gyno worse, it made me stop doing push-ups, right? At some point I was doing push-ups, like 40 push-ups a day, and I stopped doing that because I read somewhere online that a doctor said it was going to make it worse, and that the only solve or cure to it is to get surgery, right? Or to take some type of drugs that's going to have after effects, which I'm not doing that. I haven't gotten any surgery, and I've gotten gynecomastia all just through puberty. So if you can relate to my situation, then I think this video is definitely for you. So when I was first training, like really taking it seriously, I wasn't training my chest. I wasn't doing any push-ups. And then I started doing push-ups. I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do push-ups. And sorry to curse, it's just like, a lot of like, I feel like emotion into this, right? Because this is something that has been just a part of my life. So, working out my chest, stuff like that, doing push-ups, and I've noticed that my chest was able to round out a lot better within that same exact year. That was about my senior year in high school, and people I would wear just regular t-shirts, white t-shirts. You could see like my gyno through it, right? But as the months went on, as the school year went on, it became less and less apparent. My face started to kind of like thin out a bit more. In general, I was just becoming a lot more fit, a lot more healthy. And I had gotten a six-pack. I first saw my six-pack by December of that year. And I'll put up pictures all throughout the video just so you guys can see. And seeing that, it made me incredibly encouraged to keep going, because I had never even really imagined myself with a six-pack. I mean, as a kid, you'll imagine yourself as like some especially if you're a boy, as like some like big muscular guy, right? Because we all have had the dream of wanting to be like the strongest man in the world, at whether it be for a short amount of time or for our entire lives, right? But the fact that I was actually kind of, in a way, achieving that goal or that dream that the younger me wanted but got discouraged from because of my gynecomastia, because of me getting made fun of, it set a fire in my belly, right? So anybody who is on the verge of feeling like they're just gonna give up, they don't care anymore, whatever the case may be, don't do that. If you're gonna be like me, try again, 3 months of trying to lose weight, of trying to exercise and build muscle in your chest and build muscle around your body, and that's what helped a lot, right? With the way I was eating, it's not like I was eating clean or eating like a relatively healthy food choices. I was still eating like school food, right? I was still eating like cereal in the morning and stuff like that, and Pop-Tarts and whatever sweets and whatever the case may be. But I was eating less, that was for sure. When I would go to school, I would skip lunch most of the time, and that allowed me to lose weight. And in that first photo, the photo that's on the thumbnail, I was about 208 pounds. And then by December, I was able to get down to about 170, 178, if I'm not mistaken, 177, 178. That's when I first started to see my six-pack. Kept training, and then at some point, I was like, okay, I want to gain weight. Now I want to gain weight because I want to bulk up and stuff like that, right? But I was still very much insecure about my gynecomastia, even though I've gotten, relatively leaner at that time, and I was building muscle. Sure, it wasn't as apparent. Even my own friends were telling me that, I barely even noticed your gyno at that point in time. I still was able to see it, and sometimes, depending on the day or just depending on what I might have even eaten, which I'll get to later, that would kind of affect the appearance and the puffiness of my gynecomastia. So at some point, like I said, I was trying to gain weight at the time. I was around this time, I was working at a Chipotle. So you can get these bowls with rice and vegetables and all this stuff on it. And like, that's gonna be very filling. And I would eat the mess out of those. I would eat the mess out of those, man. Like, during break, we only had 30 minutes for break, right? And I was working there maybe 3-4 times out of the week on average. During break, I would have like a bowl and a half, like a full bowl and a half of food, right? Or maybe a full bowl and like some tacos or whatever. And I would try and eat that and make sure I can finish it during my break. And of course, and then I have to return back to work on that full stomach. Like, bro, like I wasn't able to work. I could barely even work for the rest of my shift because of that. But it didn't matter because in my mind, I'm like, I just have to eat. I have to eat to gain more weight. And to me, it's like, I even made some compromises on what I would eat because it's like, oh, I can't miss a meal. I have to make sure I eat 3 meals, whatever the case may be. Let me just order DoorDash and get this or whatever the case may be. You know, sapping money out of my wallet, stuff like that. I was emptying out the fridge and the pantry because I was trying to eat 3 big meals out of the day. I even tried to start eating 4 meals out of the day. And I got big, that's for sure. I'll put up pictures. I definitely got bulky. I think my heaviest had to be around 195. I'd say maybe 197. I can't really remember. I don't think I took pictures of the scale at that time, but my ultimate goal was 200 pounds, right? And to me now that almost seems absurd because just 200 pounds at 6 foot, that's a lot of weight to have to carry. That's a lot of weight that your blood and your lungs have to support and give oxygen and blood to. So it was definitely like a obsession that I had at the time of like trying to gain 200 pounds and then try to stay at 200 pounds for like, 3 years or something, and then like, slowly cut down or whatever the case may be so I can have maximum amount of muscle or, whatever the case. And I think that was definitely a detriment to my health. And that did not help with my gynecomastia because sure, I was building muscle. I was of course building muscle. I was working out like almost every day. Like how I do, right? And I was training very hard, training to failure, which I feel like probably did lead to a bit of overtraining. But I was still, of course, gaining muscle. I was trying to make sure I was like sleeping well. My whole life revolved around me trying to work out and gain weight. That was my life. That was my life for about that year or a year and a half of like just me training. And it led me to kind of be at a bit of a standstill as to like, how I progress as a person. I even skipped a year of like Ramadan because I was so focused on trying to gain weight that I didn't participate in Ramadan because I didn't want to fast, and if I were gonna fast, that means I would have to lose weight, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to keep getting to 200. And I didn't even meet that goal because at some point I was like, you know what? It was like a year later after that, like I'm gonna do Ramadan. I'm gonna participate in Ramadan, and that definitely allowed for just my way of eating and the way I think about food now to completely change ever since then. And this is not last Ramadan. This is like a year. This is a year before, right? I started to see myself get leaner, get a bit more chiseled, and then after Ramadan, we took a trip to Gambia, which is where my father is from, and I got to saw cousins and family. It was great, and I lost weight there because I was pooping like multiple times a day, every single day. I was basically getting my system cleaned out. Came back to America. I was definitely leaner. But now, at this current moment, I'm the leanest I've ever been. And that's going to be the next topic that I really want to expand upon when it comes to weight loss. And I feel like gynecomastia and weight loss, they both correlate with each other a lot. So even when I was bulkier and stuff like that, I was still very self-conscious about my chest because I still had like boobies. I still had like my gynecomastia that was pushing out, right? And it was pushing out through shirts. Of course, it was less apparent, but it was still pushing out. Like if I wore a tank top, I would be able to see it very clearly. I don't know how well you can see it now, even in this video, but in general, like it still wasn't going well. Like if we ever had a chance to where we would go to a pool or where we would go to the beach or whatever, I would still wear a swim shirt because I was still very self-conscious about my chest, which I felt like, was warranted because it was still pretty visible. But after last year's Ramadan, or not last year's Ramadan, but after coming back from that Gambia trip, and then like seeing how I've gotten lean, I even gotten like stronger at calisthenics movements. Um, I wanted to change the way I was eating, so I started doing intermittent fasting, and I felt like this allowed me to make sure I could like stay at a relatively the same weight. I wasn't really losing weight. I was just kind of staying at the same weight. I was staying around from like about 180 to 185. That's about like where I was just kind of like staying at. And with intermittent fasting, this means like I would wake up, I wouldn't eat breakfast, right? When I eat breakfast, I would wake up and I would eat maybe at around the hours of like 10, 11, 12, right? Maybe even the latest is 1 p.m. And I would work out. I would have worked out before that. I would have exercised. I would maybe have done something, set up my day, whatever the case may be. But most of the time, I was honestly just watching anime with that extra time. And I noticed there was a difference in my my physique. Of course, I got leaner, but it wasn't like anything crazy. It wasn't like, I would wake up and one day I was like, oh my gosh, I was lean. Oh my gosh, like I can see every single muscle. I still had a bit of fluff and I still had my chest poking out. And I think I would definitely attribute that to the foods that I was eating. I was still eating these very starchy and heavy foods that cause bloating, such as rice, oatmeal, pasta, bread. These four foods, right? These four starchy foods, these complex carbohydrates, which are man-made foods that are not natural to the human digestive system, those cause problems, and those made my gyno flare up and flare out a lot more than what I'm eating now, right? I was still having eating like meat and stuff like that. I was still eating vegetables, eggs, fruit, whatever. But most of my calories, most of the bulk of my food would come from those four foods that I just mentioned, right? So oats, which is like a cereal basically, rice, bread, pasta, right? Because those foods were easy to consume and they're easy to make even. And then you can just eat a bunch of it without feeling full for a second. And then all of a sudden, you feel full, then you feel horrible. Then you feel like complete dookie water. And again, like I said, I wasn't getting lean. My body fat wasn't dropping down by a significant amount, or at least not by a significant amount over a good period of time. And it's not like I was intentionally trying to lose weight. Even now, with as lean as I am now, it wasn't even the intention. And when it came to a lot of my weight loss, I started taking fasting more seriously, especially after this last Ramadan. My eyes completely opened up to how we're supposed to be eating and things like that. Just with fasting, my workouts, I try and be fasted when I work out because that's going to increase your human growth hormone, which is going to increase testosterone, and that's going to, of course, give you better, literally better gains in the gym. What I think is completely stupid in the bodybuilding world is that, you have to carb up before a workout so you can get a good pump and blah, blah, blah. And then you have to, you make sure you meet your, what do they call it? Some people eat in the middle of the workout, right? Some bodybuilders eat and they snack, or they eat like a protein bar or granola bar or energy bar in the middle of the workout because they can't miss their macro cycle or something like that, whatever the case may be, which is dude, that is so stupid. We come up with so many ways to literally kill ourselves with food in order to gain mass and muscle and stuff like that. And it's not going to lead to a better life because all you're trying to achieve is something that is just completely within the material world, right? You're not gaining anything physically or mentally, right? When I was so focused on gaining 200 pounds, my entire life, like I just said, my entire life revolved around me trying to eat and working out. Eat and working out. That was my life. I had just graduated, trying to get to 200 pounds. I was just working. I was just eating, working, sleeping, working out. That was my life. That was my entire life, right? Everything else I was doing, I was watching anime. I was masturbating. I was doing whatever, right? I wasn't focusing on anything else. I wasn't trying to build anything else, right? So after I cut out these foods, you know, the starchy foods, not only did like just like my physical change, but like my complete like mindset and my mood and the way I function and the way I think completely changed, right? So like I said, I cut out rice, I cut out bread, pasta, oats, or cereals in general, and pastries. Now I might have that stuff here and there, but especially for the past like 2 months or so, for one, Ramadan, that whole month of Ramadan, I definitely did lose weight, and I was definitely taking fasting a lot more seriously, and that made me lean down a significant amount. And I had gotten down to possibly post Ramadan to around like 177 to 180. And for these past couple of months, I have been doing like 36-hour fast. So like every week or every other week, I'll have a 36-hour fast. That means like for a full 24 hours, I won't eat. At the end of the first day, I won't eat at all. And then at the beginning of the third day, sorry, I won't eat at all, right? Until like breakfast or lunchtime. Whenever I started the 36-hour fast, which has allowed me to basically lean out but still be able to build muscle, because again, like I train every single day and I can maintain my muscle because I am challenging my muscles. I am putting them under a state of stress, which, you know, they're gonna have no choice but to grow. So definitely fasting. Now, I wouldn't recommend 36 hours off the bat to someone who eats 3 meals a day every single day, even 2 meals a day every single day. I would have to recommend that to someone who is a lot more experienced with fasting, or who has gotten used to being able to even eat 1 meal a day, right? During the last couple of days of Ramadan, I was just eating 1 meal. Like in the morning, I might eat something light, but then in the evening, that's when I would eat most of my meals. And then in that last like 5 days or so, I was just eating that one evening meal. And I didn't have any issues with that. So I would definitely recommend that type of process in order for you to, start eating like 1 meal, and then being able to do a 36-hour fast, and then just getting back to your regular way of eating, which is going to be a lot more beneficial for your gut health and your mental, even your cognitive function will go up. I find when I fast, the way I think and just the way I process things is improved drastically. Another thing to mention is that with me cutting out all of these foods, I've even cut out animal products. So I haven't been eating stuff like, eggs, turkey, chicken, beef, dairy. So like no milk, no cheese, no yogurt, nothing like that. I basically haven't had any animal protein, and my diet has been consisting mostly of fruit, right? I was already kind of making a transition a little bit. I would by eating mostly fruit along with my like usual like eggs and oatmeal and stuff like that. But I was eating mostly fruit on a day-to-day basis, and now I just basically eat like 90% fruit, along with having like some peanuts, so like homemade peanut butter, or vegetation like salads and stuff like that, and vegetables. And I haven't had any issues like so far. I would probably have to take this long term, but I've noticed that I've lost like a good amount of weight, and I've been pooping a lot, of course, because fruits are very cleansing. And I've been able to get very lean, right? Like, of course, I'm gonna have pictures going up throughout the whole video, just to kind of show, like, from me being a bit bulky even a couple months ago, and then just me now, and just how much progress I've made. And then along with that, when going back to gyno, when it comes to my gynecomastia, I notice that when I'm in a fasted state and when I'm working out, when I have like a pump in my chest, it doesn't look that bad. Now, when I was at the pool, that previous photo, I didn't have a pump in my chest. I wasn't even really fasted. I had breakfast, but it was a bit cold. Of course, the pool water was cold, so it made my chest kind of like, it made it not puff out as much. Since fruits are a much lighter food, instead of it being something like, rice or something like that, something that's heavier, when you eat rice, that's going to bring up your prolactin, which is kind of like the satisfaction hormone, and then that's going to raise your estrogen. So that could correlate with raising, or like, you know, being able to, having a hard time to leave off to heave off body fat, and of course probably making your gyno flare up a lot more, which is probably why, like, even though I was intermittent fasting, eating 2 meals a day, why I was still having an issue losing body fat, because I was eating rice, I was eating pasta, I was eating these complex carbs, which doesn't allow me to basically have an optimal testosterone production, which would allow me to be leaner and to be able to still hold on and even gain muscle mass, right? So with fruits, right? Fruits are carbs, but they're much simpler carbs and they don't take that long to digest. Like, I'll even put up pictures of like what I'll eat for like breakfast when I eat fruit. Like, I'll just have like a big bowl of watermelon, or I'll just have like a plate of like mangoes and oranges, right? And that stuff does not sit in my system for a long time. Like, I'll poop like maybe 30 minutes to an hour later, maybe at most 2 hours. And I feel clean, I feel fine, I feel energized, right? I don't feel like I need to eat that stuff like rice and bread and pasta. And even when I was eating all that stuff, it slowed me down. It slowed me down because I would eat it and I would feel tired. I would want to go to sleep. I'd be dry, like I would eat something like that, like oatmeal for breakfast, or even just like, you know, for, you know, around 10 o'clock or whatever. And then I'd be on my way to school, or I would have some schoolwork to do. And I'm falling asleep. I'm in the car driving to school or to work, and I'm about to knock out. Why would our food do that to us, you know? Sure, if you're eating oatmeal, that's better than eating like, you know, your regular like cereal, processed cereals. But like, what's better than that? Better than that is eating like clean whole foods that aren't processed, right? Cereals, like oats is a cereal, cream of wheat, that's a cereal, and that is literally man-made, right? Man-made for mass production, which causes harm to our body. So with that being said, like with me just eating mostly fruit and me living the way I live, which has caused me to be lean, which is, I feel like, has caused my gynecomastia to even go down further. I feel like I've made a lot of progress with that. If you have any questions or concerns, or even if what you said, what I said, sorry, was like, you know, confusing or weird or crazy, then please ask that in the comments. You know, I would love to try and make like a Q&A video or something like that. But yeah, see you guys in the next one. I appreciate you guys for watching. Peace out.